Now people do strange things with minis. Stewards also have their own piece of equipment to demonstrate, while others don cowboy hats and just sit and relax. Friday was a beautiful day, sunshine from morning till evening, but the forecast was atrocious for the weekend, and especially it was going to be terrible on Sunday. But these exhibitors, they just didn't care. They were doing their own cordon bleu cooking and relaxing and dining on the back of a lorry. Wine, steak and two very expectant terriers. As the day moved on, steam lads had got the steam going on one or two machines, but a lot of them were doing a lot of cleaning. But some of them were just enjoying the sunshine. S&J Harrison's steamer had a very knowledgeable young son on board, who was very proficient with the workings, and this Fowler steam engine was his pride and joy, and he'll tell us all about it just a little bit later. This scale model of a steamer was super. Every piece finished and turned out to perfection, but not in steam yet.
It's a John Fowler engine. It was built in 1912, and when it came out the works, it was used for road haulage, stone crushing, and then when it crushed the stone, and then when it had crushed the stone, it went to the works. I just keep an eye on it when Dad or Grandad isn't here, and just make sure it's okay, really. You get an oily rag, and you get your shovel and you put your oily rag on the shovel and you put a bit of diesel on the rag, and then you strike the match and light the oily rag, put it in the firebox, and then you take your shovel out and then you put wood on top of it in the firebox, and then you let the wood get going, and once it's got going you put a bit of coal on it. It's Welsh steam coal and it's from Wales. It works at 180.
A newly resurfaced runway meant all vehicles had to be kept off that newly laid tarmac. It caused quite a few problems, as Steve Morris told us.
It's been an immense headache, to be perfectly honest. I think we've had about 3 or 4 layout changes in the last couple of days, because we were going to put the cars at one side of the runway, but then we find out that we realised that the arena's at the other side of the runway and we can't get them across. So we're taking a bit of a chance by putting the push bikes and the motorbikes on the opposite side of the runway to the arena, because we can wheel them across without any risk of any damage, really. So everything, all the heavy stuff, will be on the arena side of the runway.
Otherwise, what about numbers and how's that all going together?
Yeah, we're about as normal with numbers. We've been a little bit more selective in certain classes this year, trying to make it more interesting for the public. It's about as normal for exhibits. We've got a bit more variety in the tractor class. There's a few more military this last couple of years since we lowered the age limit on that. Steamers were up at one stage, but 1 or 2 have dropped out since, through no fault of anybody's. It's just life. Yeah, coming along not so bad. Down this bottom end of the field near the bar area, we've got a big working area with 2 large saw benches and some smaller wood processing equipment and a threshing machine, and that's an area we're trying to develop, really. We'd like to get more steam engines working in there if we can. Yeah, that's something we're working on for this year and the future.
And we always have something major in the ring. What have we got this year?
This year, and I had to book him 18 months in advance because he's so popular, we've got the fellow called the Kangaroo Kid, and he jumps over things on quad bikes. And I tried to get him 2 years ago, but he was in hospital. He tends to spend quite a lot of time in hospital, I think, so we're expecting him to be very entertaining.
We came to Floatwell in about 1985 or 6. The way I always do it, I go to the bottom of our stairs and look at a plaque that we have there, and it's the quarter-size implement seat, and I think it's 1986 we came to Floatwell from Kendal.
And how long we were at Kendal?
From 74 to 85. So we had a few years there.
And was it classed as a good move to come in?
Oh, best move we ever made. Well, we always used to fall out with the show committee and the trotters because we took things like this onto the runway, raceway, and they used to pick up all the surface, and we spent hours and weeks and pounds restoring it to what it was before.
We went back to Northern Star. That's the Harrison's Fowler engine for the final cleaning. Steam had nearly come up to pressure. The Welsh coal had burned well, and Dad and his lad were coming very close to taking a short trip on the showground. It's just great to see such enthusiasm from this young lad. Left in his hands, the Steam Preservation Society will continue to flourish.
Well, I'll tell you the start of the story. This is the first show that I came across to in England from Ireland, and that was 43 years ago, whenever it used to be in Kendal. I've been here every year since, and for the last 24 years I've become part of the show. I love this show so much, and they always dig something out of the briars for me to get going. And each year I think they try and make it more difficult, or else I'm getting past it. But it's always a hands-on mechanical demonstration of some sort. I know a wee bit about Ferguson tractors, so I'm really at home doing this sort of thing. But this year they've brought me a real poser. This tractor had been dismantled 7 or 8 years ago, but not by the person who owns it now. It's been through a couple of hands since that. The man that owns it now has overhauled the engine, and he says he guarantees me all the parts are here to put it together.
Now Alex Sharphouse is quite a fit bloke, and humping sacks of coal comes second nature to a guy like that. Other steaming lads were making ready, taking off the tarpaulins, because it's quite early in the morning on Saturday now. This is a most beautiful steam car, isn't it? An Oldsmobile, if I can get my tongue round it. An Oldsmobile 1904. It's beautiful. Right, steaming has started now. You can see one or two have got some smoke coming up. Alex Sharphouse has got this wagon that he's got restored. He's done a lot of work on this with Alex. Starting to move up and down the runway now, Saturday morning. People are beginning to move about. Look at the old red roller there. And Alex's wasn't the only tarmac wagon that was there. Topping it up with just that little bit of water that's needed to keep it going. polishing and more polishing. But they do look beautiful when they're all sorted and done. We went into the miniature compound and it was worth a trip round. It was lovely to look at all these most beautiful models all sorted out and travelling about. This is Mr. Brown's once again, number 36. Working to perfection. The Varley family, well, they've been involved with steam for a lot of years. I do like the hat there, multicoloured hat. And the crowds this year, well, the Saturday wasn't bad, but if you look at the sky you can tell that it's not the best of days and it's blowing quite hard as well. Motorbikes, well, we had a cracking display of motorbikes. Back to one or two more tractors. Beautiful red Ferguson there. Purple Ferguson, now that's a little bit different. We don't see many painted purple. That's the definite new for me, is that one. Stationary engines, they make a fantastic sound. They really do. It's lovely to just wander around that ground and just listen to their pops and as they all make their own individual sounds. That's the Gardner stationary engine.
And it all started about 5 years ago with the threshing machine and the baler. And this came from the Gordon Brooks estate in Scotland, and he had a sale and we were fortunate to purchase them. And then as this 5 years been ticking away, 2 years back we started planning how we was going to lay all this out. And we commissioned for the Field Marshal tractor to be built with an engineer and lad in our village. And we got the Dutch barn being built by a joiner we know who does a bit of work for us. And as we were getting all this lot completed in February this year, the combine came for sale. It was built by a guy in Suffolk, a retired farmer's son, and it took him 4 years to build. The combine is an exact replica of the real thing, to detail in every way. Same with the Marshall tractor, there's all the detail on it.